What's up, my YouTube family? Sergeant Graybeard with the Gaming Brigade, back with another Division 2 video. And as the year winds down, I wanted to take the last 3 days of the year and highlight 3 of my favorite builds that I like to use in the game. These are builds I pretty much use on a daily basis. Yesterday I showed you my favorite Scorpio build, and today is all about the legendary Foundry build. Now, if you happen to be new to the channel, first of all, welcome. Secondly, feel free to hit that subscribe or join button. We would love for you to be a part of our gaming family. And if you enjoyed this or found it helpful at all, do me a favor and hit that like button. It really does help us out. One of the things I mention at the beginning of any build video I put together is I want to remind you that this is just a template. This is one of many ways you can run with a build like this, and not only that, you may not have certain pieces of this build, therefore throughout the actual breakdown I'll give you a few different options as well. I also wanted to make sure that I put a build together that didn't use any raid exclusive items because some players may not have them. So obviously if you do, you can make a few tweaks here and there, make the build even stronger. Everything here that you're seeing me use in this footage, I just farm for in the open world so anyone can pick these items up. As always, I'm starting off with a little bit of gameplay footage, then we're going to cut to the build breakdown itself, and then after that, a little more footage, and at that point, I also want to go over a few tips for new and returning players, which should hopefully help you anytime you start out with a new build. Now, in regards to the gameplay you're watching right now, as you can see, I'm on floor 70 of the summit, legendary difficulty, 5 directives. My shield is taking a total beatdown, and one thing I want to mention, or a few things actually, I am absolutely terrible, in my opinion, with the handgun. Like, I know I need to work on my aim and stuff like that. Things get a little sideways with this, you got to worry about. I always keep, I don't turn Fog of War on because I want to know where the NPCs are in proximity to where I am. So for me, I always keep that on so I can see the map at the top, because one of the main recommendations I make with a build like this is if you keep your back to the wall and the NPCs in front of you, you should be good to go. This happens to be a build I use in solo or group play, and as all of you know by now, when you're added to a group, the enemies are obviously going to be stronger depending on how many people are actually in a group. I've been dropped into a full group on Legendary, floor 90. This build still gets the job done, so ideally, when you have this thing equipped and you're joining a group, you should be good to go regardless of the situation. There happen to be a few more things I want to go over, but I will save that to the end of the video. Right now, let's get into the build breakdown itself. You can see from my specialization, I'm using Technician for a few different reasons. First of all, you receive a 12% damage bonus to drones, skill proxies, and robotics, which really comes in handy in the summit because you're dealing with a lot of those robo-dogs. You also receive an extra skill tier with this specialization. However, in my opinion, having the ability to use the Artificer Hive really sets this thing apart because it is going to help with your shield health tremendously. Now remember, when you're playing solo, you can have it holstered and get the benefits, but if you're in a group, make sure you drop that thing on the ground. You want to stay in the hive's radius, and as you start to move, make sure you pick up that hive with you, take it around the room, drop it back down depending on how many people, so that way the other group members get benefits as well. Now moving on to the build itself, so I'm pretty much always using my handgun with this build. However, for my other 2 weapons, I typically have an AR and an SMG equipped. For whatever reason, there are 2 SMGs equipped here. Just swap one of these out for an AR. I like using the Talent Close and Personal on one and Preservation on the other. However, I'm pretty much always using my handgun because of the shield. Unless I run into like an EMP jammer, I don't have the option. I have to switch to another weapon, which I do, stay in cover, take that jammer out, and then I'm able to, reuse the shield at that point. As far as my handgun goes, I'm using a Liberty pistol. This is something you need to craft, but anyone in the game can do it. Now, if you don't have the Liberty pistol, I recommend any handgun is fine. I just recommend using the Talent Close and Personal. Now onto the gear itself. You can see I'm using 4 Foundry, 1 Douglas and Harding, and 1 Bellstone. We are using all 4 pieces of the Foundry set, so we get all of the gear set bonuses. You can see a 2-piece gives you 10% total armor, 3 pieces 1% armor regen, and 50% shield health, 4 pieces makeshift repairs. Whenever you or your shield take damage, 20% of that amount is repaired to both over 15 seconds. Now on all of these pieces, I'm trying to stack armor, regen, and protection from elites. Now the protection from elites mods are hard to come by, at least in my opinion. I have a bunch of 12% ones. Those were on sale a while back from a vendor. I lucked out, so I bought a bunch as soon as I saw they were for sale. Moving on to the chest piece, it's the one piece of Douglas and Harding, so I get that 20% pistol damage bonus. Now here's where you will have an option. I like using this piece because I like the talent Intimidate, because when you have bonus armor, you're also getting a major weapon damage increase to enemies within 10 meters. However, if you happen to have completed the raid, you can use the Foundry chest here and switch your mask to the named Douglas and Harding Punch Drunk, because that thing's an absolute beast. So again, depending on your gear, you do have different options. Continuing on to the holster, the knee pads, and the gloves, they are the 3 remaining pieces of the Foundry gear set, and like I said before, all I'm trying to do is stack armor regen and protection from elites. Finally, my friends, we have the backpack, and this is another one of those areas where you do have a lot of options. So I've chosen to use a piece of Bellstone for the armor regen, and I like using the talent Adrenaline Rush because you're getting bonus armor whenever you have an enemy within 10 meters of yourself. Now obviously another great option is using the Memento Backpack, because when you take out NPCs, you're picking up those trophies. They give you bonuses to your weapon damage, your armor, and your skill efficiency. However, for me, because my time to kill is much slower with this build, when I'm using Adrenaline Rush, I'm always in close proximity to NPCs, because on Legendary, they rush you, so you're pretty much always having that talent active. And this goes back to something I mentioned earlier, my friends, is try out different variations and pick something that really suits your style of gameplay. Finally, we have the skills themselves. Obviously, I've mentioned the Artificer Hive. I'm also using the Bulwark Shield, and remember, with this shield, your shield skill tier increases with both armor and skill core attributes. So if you look in the bottom left corner, you can see it only says I have 1 skill tier. However, you look to the right, my shield is at skill tier 6, and it's an absolute monster. And as I start to wrap this video up, I want to pass along a few tips to new and returning players when you're starting off with a Foundry build. And let's say you've never used one before, you've got to get used to the movements and all that stuff. And one thing I recommend is try this thing on heroic first. Get used to firing the handgun, get used to how the point of view is from the shield when you're tracking an enemy, when you're moving around the room, time to let the shield go, when to pop the shield back up, and it will really help you segue into legendary difficulties so you're not totally going in blind. The other thing I want to mention really quick is if you're using a shield, be aware of the location of the other players. It's situational awareness. You do not want to be the one person with the shield who's blocking the fire from other players, so again, keep your body moving and make sure you're not blocking anyone else from trying to take out an NPC. Most of you know by now that one of my favorite aspects about having a channel is the communication and the family we have here. So when it comes to these build videos, I want your feedback. Let me know how you run with them, because any way we can pass along information to people to help them out with their builds, we definitely want to do so. With that being said, I want to take a moment as always and thank you all for your amazing support of this channel, and remind you, if you happen to be new here, feel free to hit that subscribe or join button. If you enjoyed this, do me a favor, hit that like button as well, but most importantly, take care of yourselves, be kind to each other, and we will talk to you soon. Thanks again, everyone.